This is my 85 GPz900, the bike that was featured in the movie Top Gun. And it has sat for about a year and a half, and it will start right up right now, but it will not idle. So in this video, I'm going to go through how to remove the carbs and clean them. The first thing you got to do is remove the seat, and to do this you have to use the key. After the seat's off, the next step is to remove this side panel right here, and it is held on with this bolt here and then a rubber thing in here that you just have to pull out after you remove this guy. Then you pull out on this side. So what you got here is this little guy fits into here. And then you want to put your screw back in here so you don't lose it. Bolt, actually. At this point, you're ready to remove the tank so you can get to the carbs. So for the tank, you've got this electrical connection right here. You've got these two bolts right here. And then the tank, you lift it up from the back here, and then you disconnect. The petcock has two connections. It's got the fuel connection, and it's also got a vacuum connection. So you gotta kick off these also. These are vents for the tank. Then you gotta take these babies off. Next, you remove the air filter. Now at this point, what you want to do, if I hadn't already done it, is you want to squeeze these guys and push them back into the box. And actually it helps if you reach up in here and you're actually able to squeeze them from this side and pull them into the air box, because what you need to do is give yourself room here to slide the carburetors backward. And the only way to do that is to pull these boots back inside the air box. You could probably pull them all the way in. That would maybe help, but it's not necessary to get them all the way in. Just get them into where you can get the carbs moved. And then after you do that, because since I've already done it, we can move on to the next step, is you need to remove or loosen up these bolts right here that are squeezing the carburetor to this rubber boot that goes on to the head. Yeah. So once you've got all of this side loose on all four of them, then what you want to do is you need to disconnect your choke. So you take out this bolt right here, and then you can pull this whole thing this way and then disconnect this guy from there. Now I also pulled this vacuum line off, so I have some more room to work. And now if you push this way, you can generally slide this out. There it is. So now the choke is disconnected. Now what you need to do is you can slide these guys off
this way. You kind of have to jimmy them and get them, because there's 4 of them connected on there. So you got to push it this way, sort of grab both sides from the back and pull it this way.
And that's how easy it should be. Then it's often easiest to slide them to the right side of the bike and disconnect the throttle cable. Here you can see the boots pushed back into the airbox. When they're extended out, they actually have a little nubbin that holds them in place. You can kind of maybe see it in there. I'll show you later.
I always video when I'm disassembling a carburetor, so I know where everything goes when I put it back together. So this is the main jet, which sits at the bottom of the needle holder. And after that's out, then the needle holder itself comes out. I decided to remove all of the jets, including the pilot air screw, which is in the circuit, which I was pretty sure was clogged in one or more of the passages in one or more of the carbs. So I went ahead and pulled all of them out. So this is the pilot jet coming out. And here I'm removing the pilot air screw. What's important to remember here is you need to count the number of revolutions out from full in each screw is. Or you need to readjust everything with vacuum gauges when you put it back together. It's probably a good idea anyway to do that. But what I did was you screw the pilot air screws all the way in. You count the number of screws in, and then when you remove them, when you put them back together, you back them out that number. There's also a tiny little spring in there, so don't lose that. At this point, everything goes in the ultrasonic cleaner. What you do here is you fill it up with warm water to just below the max mark, and then you add the appropriate amount of cleaning powder to the thing, kind of mix it up a little bit, and then you put the basket in with your jets and springs in there, and then you run this a couple of times. I sometimes run it 2 or 3 times. After they come out of the ultrasonic cleaner, what you want to do is blow them with compressed air and then chase all of the tiny little holes with tiny little copper wires to clean them out, sort of as a double cleaning. So what you're going to do is chase every one of these holes so that they're clean of muck. You also want to chase the passages in the carburetor with those thin copper wires to clean out anything left in there.
All right, so after the carbs are cleaned, you just reassemble in the opposite order of disassembly. And once I did that, the bike started right up and idled right away. Well, the idle jets on the bike were clogged because the bike sat for about a year and a half without getting ridden. And a couple things you have to do with especially carbureted motorcycles. First of all, you want to run non-oxy gas in them, and you don't want to let them sit for more than about a month, maybe a couple of weeks without riding them, or at least starting them up, let them warm up, and then shut them down. So I didn't do that last year, and this one just wouldn't idle. It ran fine off idle, but I couldn't get it to idle. I ran an entire tank of gas through it, thinking the Italian tune-up idea would clean it out, but it didn't. So in this video, I showed you how to take the carbs apart and clean them. And then when I started it back up, it's fine. It idles perfect. It runs like awesomely, like it always has.
So hope you learned something from this video, and if you liked it, hit the like button and think about subscribing. Thanks.